Hopefully that's better. So I wanted to go a bit more into knife defense and why I'm so very leery of it. One of the biggest problems that I have with people teaching it is they automatically assume that the person's going to have a knife just out and they're going to be slashing and slashing, or worst case, an ice pick. The truth is, knives are way more deadly because everybody uses them every day of their life to cut their food and so on and so forth. And while someone may be distracting you with whatever's going on, or they're trying to get your wallet, in this backhand, they might actually have the actual real lethal weapon. And these are things that can be easily hidden. Now, my family came from the Gray Fox unit, so I'm aware of some of the deeper approaches people will take to putting armaments within their own sort of clothing. But the fact of the matter is, if you're you're not going to expect someone to attack you with this in their sleeve like this, mainly because they have to draw it and it's a fumble. Usually, what happens is they already have it pulled, but it's hidden. And it's hidden well, and you can't really tell unless they like do something obvious, and then boom. And that's actually how the attacks in the street often happen. Is someone's walking by and they just and the person collapses across the street. I was doing a knife defense class actually when a soldier, was waiting at a bus stop down the street when he was abducted and stabbed to death and then dumped and run over. So anybody can be carrying a knife. Even honestly, there's even this sort of knife can cause some serious harm if you were to hit someone with the palm. Like it can do some damage if it hits the temple. So you don't even need to worry about just the blade. So one of the things that I see wrong about this, because I've had such high contact with knife work, I have lacerations both from practice on my hands, over from Koryu and practicing in Silat, but I also have been stabbed doing humanitarian work, and I can tell you the things that work, the things that don't. Obviously, don't be playing Candy Crush on your mobile phone late at night in a high risk territory where, you know, if you're like, in my case, I'm Jewish, where if you're in an Arab village and there's tensions where everyone driving by is yelling things at you, just keep playing on your phone. Be observer, be able to be spatially aware of who and what is around you, like with the cats. So the other thing is my teaching lineage comes out of DC primarily. I've been up and down the East Coast and then Europe and then now Israel, practicing various martial arts. If you watch other videos on my channel, you're familiar with that. But in Changdeguan, the teacher came. He grew up in D.C. He was one of the original members of Junri's school of Changdeguan, and it's very similar to Tang Sudo and Shotokan, but it's very combatives oriented because he himself lived in the ghetto of inner DC in the 60s. And I lived in Springfield, Virginia, just on the outskirts. It's not a rough part of town, but driving into DC, you'll go to a gas station, and then you know how like over the cashier they have that armored sort of window. You might see it an armored window there, another armored window, and then the actual front of the building is armored. So it's high risk. He had his own uncle, a guy that knocked on the door, he opened, it was machete, and they robbed him, and he died. So my teacher was relatively paranoid about this stuff and wanted us to be prepared. One of the things he would often have us do, which I've seen come up a lot in Krav Maga, is he would have us actually spar. The nice thing about these sort of training weapons is they have a paint on them, but it does fade off, and what's underneath is a black rubber that leaves marks on clothing to let you know what happens. And no matter how good you got, let's say that you're like just like the Joker, the Ace of Spades, and how you want to actually like wield a knife and all that kind of jazz, you're still gonna get cut. His theory was if the knife is out, they likely don't want to actually stab you, or they would have already stabbed you. But if the knife is out and there's an aggressive situation occurring, it's about a 50% chance that you're going to get cut. So you still need to pick what limb is going to shield what. One of the best tactics is if you have a jacket, is to rip it off and use that to try to wrap it around the hands and the knife. way lower risk than actually trying to have to grapple with someone or just trying to dance out of the way, you know? So there's that. Clothing can be very beneficial. Obviously, the thicker the clothing, the better for any kind of puncture wounds. But it's still gonna do its thing. I think I put it on sideways. Hey, one of those is sharp. And there's a few grips you got to kind of look out for. So I'm gonna come up closer just so you can see. You can do it with either knife, but the training knives are the ones that I want people watching to actually be using. So this is what I would call a standard grip. This allows you to really just stab and slash. And for the record, when someone's doing a stab, it's not, I don't usually just do one. When I was stabbed, it was poke, whoa, shit. And then I blocked the second, blocked the third, which was higher, and then blocked the fourth and used that to grab it, and then I got the knife. But that still left more like a puncture wound in my thigh. So this is still high risk, even if you have decades of experience with knife practice. Uh, the next one you have to worry about is the ice pick grip. The reason for this is the slashes are a lot tighter, so they can often penetrate more deeply when they lacerate. They can also do sort of these jackknife motions. And they can punch. This is technically for the way that it can be used, it's technically less lethal, but usually when it's like this, it means they're serious. They want something. And if you see this, you already need to be bracing for that ice pick guard. Now, and if it was 50% likelihood of cut on the standard grip, this means you're 70% likely to get cut. Now, if they are holding it like this should tell you a lot of things. One, obviously get the hell out of the situation. But two, it means that they're very familiar with knives, and their intent is, even if you block it, to cut you. This one is a brutal one. You will get cut if you engage with someone who is holding a knife in this sort of guard. And it allows for an immense amount of control that having the blade outwards really doesn't do, mainly because you think about how it's an angle. You're using that angle to control. So having it inward from a strike coming at you, it allows for a lot more control. And when they do like an arm lock or something, they can just cut. So my teacher facetiously told us to just pick a limb, but the better recourse is to be aware of these sort of things, to not go into risky situations, and to be familiar with how knives work and tactics that you can use to de-escalate. So I just want to thank you guys for watching.